Let's talk about improving your basketball IQ by watching game film. Step number 1, avoid watching game film like you would a highlight tape or a mixtape on social media. Step number 2, be okay with seeing your mistakes and possibly reliving your errors as you watch the game film. The only way to get better is to be honest with yourself as you watch. Step number 3 is to get your game film. Contact your coaches, see if they use software like Huddle or Crossover or whatever it may be. Contact a parent or guardian who records the game, but get as much game film as you can. Step number 4 is how to watch game film. A lot of coaches will say, go watch the film, go watch game film and get better. But how do you watch it to get better? So we're going to talk about 3 methods you can use. The first method is what I call tendencies. I want you to watch yourself on the ball and off the ball, not just when you score or when you look good. I want you to take a pen and paper and I want to write down the tendencies that you notice about yourself. For example, when you drive to the right, is there a certain way you're finishing the same way every time? When you go to your left, what is your go-to move? When do you pull up? How do you try to get open? What do you do when you don't have the ball in the hands? Are you screening? Are you filling? Do you run back on defense? Look and monitor your tendencies, and I want you to write down the good and the bad. Also think about it. Coaches will say, you're not playing hard enough, or I can't play you because you're getting beat defensively, or you don't know the plays. This is your time to see yourself on film and see what they may possibly be seeing and what you can do to improve it. Remember, be honest with yourself. The second way is my favorite. I call it the pause and rewind. This is how I learned the game so well as an assistant coach and as a head coach. Now, by pausing and rewinding, it can become very tedious and lengthy. But what I like about it is I'm a visual learner, like most people are. So what I'm seeing the game in real time, I'm then pausing it and seeing what's around. Who's open, who's going where, who's not paying attention defensively, who's out of position. And then as I play it, whether it's in slow motion or as I rewind it and play it again, I'm watching how things form, how the strategy goes, where your tendencies are. And by doing this, I started to develop an understanding of not only the offense and defense and the way they were structured and they would form and strategize, but also how players would move and the tempo of the game was played. And most importantly, as a player, put yourself in that position. So when you pause, you can say to the player or to yourself, where should you have passed the ball? Who else was open? Where was the help defense actually coming from? So they can kind of talk through it and visualize. Then you can press play and see how the play actually went. And for your last method, I want you to get your pen and paper. I want you to make a chart, and I want it to be effective possessions versus ineffective possessions. And with this, I want you to chart every possession of the game, offensively and defensively. And I want you to put a check mark if you were effective in the play, or a check mark where you're ineffective. And let's talk about what effective means. It doesn't mean that you have to score the ball or make the assist or get the block or the steal. It can be setting a screen. It can be making a cut that got somebody else open. It could be spreading the floor, creating a lane for somebody else. It could be making the pass, which leads to the assist, which leads to the basket. Ineffective could be not boxing out, maybe creating a turnover, not having the right spacing. This is causing you to think and for you to understand what's effective and what's ineffective for you, for your team, and for the game. Once you've got the chart, weigh them up against each other and say to yourself, was I more effective in the game or was I more ineffective? And even if you were ineffective sometimes, you can now look at the ways that you can improve to be an effective player.